This is a really fun, easy way with the CNC machine to grab a lake outline and carve it. It's a fun project, and it's really not complicated at all. So the first thing I do, this is just Mapquest, and you could use any map view that you would like to that would show the lake outline. You could do this for cities too, but this is kind of fun just to poke around with. So zoom in. I just brought up the middle of the country and start looking around for maps. If you want to make a particular lake map, then zoom in on the one you want. Other than that, just kind of poke around. Let's find one that's kind of straightforward without too many areas. This one's interesting. So we just zoom in, Marion Lake. So we're going to take a screen snip of this and then open that up in Inkscape. So let's just do a screen snip. And then we'll save this, give this a name. And then we'll open that up in Inkscape. Okay, this is just Inkscape opened up. The very first thing I do is switch this over to inches. So come over to here, Document Properties, change this to inches, and then I set the size for the area that my CNC will cut. This is a small 3040 CNC, so we can do a width of about 14 and a height of about 9. We can do a little bit more than that, but this makes me feel comfortable, so nothing goes over. So we're going to bring in our snip that we just did. First thing we need to do before we can do anything with the CNC is to turn this into a bitmap trace. So go to Path, Trace Bitmap. Because this is a little bit lighter, we need a higher threshold. And this is just something to play around with. I found a threshold of about 800 for those two. Works pretty well. You can see this got darker. So let's close this, and then we can separate these two. So we're going to delete this. This was the snip that we brought in. And then we've got our lake here. And this is now able to be cut on the CNC, but we've got to do a little bit of cleanup first. So let's make this larger, hold the control down, and stretch it. You want to hold the control down so you keep the same ratio. And what we'll need to do is clean this a little bit. Depending on the CNC machine you're using, if I had a laser cutter, then it would do really fine detail. For this plain CNC, I'm going to use a 1/16 inch end mill, but even with that, some of the really fine stuff doesn't come out. So what I usually do is erase everything that's around it, and then sometimes you can draw the roads back in if you want to, but for now we're just going to erase these. So we grab our erase tool, and sometimes this takes 30 seconds or so before it really catches. And then we're going to erase our lines. Just taking all this stuff out. Pretty straightforward. And then what we want to do is clean up the name here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a shape in here to cover this up. So let's just kind of get a circle here. Turn that a little bit. And I'm just trying to do something that'll cover up the name. And it may take a couple tries here. So that's one. So we click kind of on the circle that we did. Shift, click outside of it. path, and union. And now it's all one piece, but we've still got a little bit here to fill up. So let's go we'll do a rectangle this time. We'll put that over there. So we click on that, hold the shift button down, click on the outside, path, union, and now we're one shape and it's all covered up. There's this little spot here, let's cover that up also. There's some little ones here. And this is just individual preference. And how detailed you want to get. So again, we filled those, but we need to join them all together. So now, whoops, I didn't catch. So let's put that there. We want to go on that. Zoom in a little bit more. Just by hitting the plus button. Redo these, do these individually. So we've got a circle here. Now that's been attached down there, and we'll do the same thing up here. Sometimes you can do more than one, sometimes it wants you to do just one at a time. So we'll do one at a time here. So now we're all covered. We've got our lake as one piece. There's a little bit of spot down here. We're going to let that ride and see how that turns out. So there's our lake. And we should probably give this a name. And how fancy you want to make this is individual preference. Let's change our fonts a little bit. I think for these it looks cool to jazz this up a touch. I also like a bigger text for the CNC to cut. And again, this is just individual preference, whatever you'd like to go with. Okay, we're going to make this larger. Any other details that wanted to be put in could be done. You could do a compass over here. You could do a little bit of text about the lake. But we'll just keep this simple for now. Then we're going to save this as an SVG and open it up in JS Cut. One thing to keep in mind, if you're doing text into an SVG to run over to the CNC machine, you need to make sure that this is saved as an object, because if you save it just as text within the SVG, the CNC with JS Cut won't be able to cut it. So for the text here, we need to go up to Path and then Object to Path, and then we save it, and we should be able to open it up in JS Cut. We've opened up JS Cut, and we just went to Open SVG and brought in our saved file. Nothing complicated there. We're going to speed up our cut, go with about 60. We're going to make these very shallow. We're using a 16-inch cutter and mill. So we click on our lake, create operation. This is going to be a pocket. And because we want this to cut through, and the wood we're using is about 0.15 inches. It's pretty thin stuff. So we're going to do 0.16 just to make sure it goes through. And this is dependent on the size of the wood that you're using, of course. Then we go to Generate, and all the lines will show up on here. This is where the cutter will go. And then we're going to cut out or kind of make an indentation, a carve with our name here. We go make a new operation. This will be a pocket, but we don't want this to go the whole way through. We just want this to be carved in, so it can be nice and shallow. So we'll go to generate, and the lines will show up in a moment. There you can see them. And then if we go to simulate G-code, we can see what our carve will look like. See kind of on the back side as well as on the front. And you can see that this is deeper than this, because this is going to cut it totally through, so this will be an opening. And then behind this piece of wood, we'll have another piece of wood that'll be painted blue. We save our G-code, give it a name, and open it up in Mach or whatever program you're using to run the CNC machine. We can see how long this will take also if we go down here. Pretty fast. 1,559 seconds, so not too long. So let's save this and open it up for the CNC machine. And to kind of neaten this up a little bit, I just put a box around here with a couple tabs so that we have a nice outline cut. And then in JS Cut, we'll just use this as an extra operation and cut that outline out. Got this screwed down. Because this wood is so thin and it can flex a little bit, I like screws in all corners. And there's even a little bit, ever so slight bow through the center. So that's another reason why when we set the depth in JS Cut, we went to a little bit extra space so that we can make sure that we clear it. So we're going to cut out the lake, then it'll do the name, and we'll go from there. And we've just started cutting. This is straight off the CNC. For our name, that went a little deeper than we wanted to. Have to check the settings on that. But the lake cutout is pretty good. So what we're going to do is sand the back down a little bit and then work on a mount after painting some blue for the background. And for the lake name, we'll make this stand out a little bit more. This shows the area that we need to paint blue. It shows the two parts. We've got our lake cutout and our name attached. Here's our backing board. And the next step is to attach this there. Working on our glue up. There's the finished sign using a small inexpensive CNC and free software, Inkscape and JS Cut. Went ahead and put a couple coats of shellac on here. Fun project, really easy to do. Thanks very much for taking a look.